Some of the scariest things don't happen in the dark. They happen in the fog, that thick, disorienting kind that kills your sense of direction and makes you question what you're actually seeing. Tonight, 3 people share encounters they still can't explain. Story 1, Highway 101. It was 2022. I was driving home from Eureka to Oakland late on a Sunday night along Highway 101. Long stretches of road with no other cars, no cell service, barely any lights. Somewhere around Trinidad, the fog rolled in. Within 5 minutes, visibility dropped to maybe 20 feet. I slowed down and kept going. I just wanted to get home. After another half hour, I saw a figure on the shoulder. As I got closer, I could see it was a person, tall, completely still, facing the road. Not waving, not on his phone, just standing there. He didn't even turn his head as I passed, which already felt wrong. I kept driving. About 10 minutes later, I saw him again. Same build, same dark clothes, same stance. This time on the opposite side of the road. There was no way he could have gotten ahead of me. I was the only car out there. When I looked over, he turned his head and locked eyes with me. That snap toward me was one of the worst feelings I've ever had. Then my headlights caught someone standing in the middle of the road. I had no choice but to stop. He had a hood pulled over his face and didn't move no matter how many times I flashed my brights. I put the car in reverse, and when I checked my mirror, someone was creeping up behind me. I floored it, swerved around the figure ahead and thought I was clear. Then something hit my rear end hard enough to jolt the entire car sideways. When I checked my mirrors, there was nothing there. No figures, no car. Just empty fog. I didn't stop until I hit the interchange. When I got home, I walked around to the back of my car. The rear bumper was destroyed. A massive dent, running almost the entire width of it. No paint transfer, which ruled out another vehicle. I've made peace with the idea that I hallucinated the figures and hit a guardrail post in a panic. But here's what I can't get past. How do you hallucinate one thing while physically experiencing something else at the exact same moment? Story 2. The Trail. This happened just a few weeks ago during spring break. I was back in my hometown with nothing to do, so I went for a run on a loop I used to do in high school. 3 miles, starting and ending at my house, cutting through a small wooded trail. I've run it hundreds of times. One straight path, no forks. I could do it blindfolded. The fog that afternoon was unlike anything I'd ever seen in that town. Everything past 30 feet just dissolved into haze. I went anyway. The trail was simple enough to follow, even with low visibility. The problem started at the 2.5-mile mark. I should have been almost out of the woods at that point. Instead, I was still deep in the trees with no exit in sight. I assumed my GPS watch was glitching and kept going. Then I passed 3 miles. 3 miles is the entire loop. I should have been standing in my driveway. I was still surrounded by forest on both sides. I turned around and ran back the way I came. After about a mile, I heard something behind me. The closest I can describe it is a drone, lower than a moan, swelling up and dipping back down in this wavering rhythm, almost like a siren but human. Not someone calling for help, just this sustained, purposeless noise. I ran faster, but I'd already covered 4 miles and I was exhausted. The sound didn't fall behind. Whatever was making it was matching my pace perfectly. Every time I looked back, there was just fog. Then the trees ended and I broke out onto the street. When I turned to look back at the trail entrance, something was standing just inside it. A dark silhouette, at least 7 feet tall, swaying gently back and forth, not moving toward me, just watching. I ran home and didn't look back. I still don't know what was in those woods. Story 3. Willapa Bay. About 6 years ago, my buddy Edwin and I kayaked Willapa Bay on the Washington coast. Edwin had worked as a kayak guide. We knew what we were doing. We launched early on a foggy Saturday morning. Around 9, I heard something. Oars, not paddles, oars. The sound is distinct. Someone was rowing a boat about 100 feet to our right. We called out. No response. The rowing didn't change pace at all. Over the next 20 minutes, that sound never got closer or further away. No matter which direction we paddled or how fast we went, it held a perfect distance. At one point, the fog thinned for 3 seconds, just long enough to see a small, dark wooden rowboat with someone at the oars. Then the fog closed back in. We headed for shore. The rowing followed us the whole way. Then the fog lifted, and I looked immediately toward where the sound had been coming from. Open water. Nothing there. Completely empty in every direction. We landed on the beach, and a minute later, Edwin called me over. Fresh bare footprints in the sand, water still pooling in the impressions. They came out of the water, followed the shoreline, and disappeared into the trees. I followed them in the other direction. 50 yards down the beach, pulled up onto the sand, was the rowboat. Dark wood, almost black, oars resting inside. The same boat. Edwin grabbed my arm and told me we were leaving. To this day, I can't explain how whoever was in that boat got to shore before us, walked all the way to the exact spot where we landed, and vanished into the woods, all before we even hit the beach.